What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, it's Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday, but it's been a blur already.
I was just like, what day
I
is it
don't
now?
blame you for the hesitation. It's gone by really fast.
Oh man, already, dude. We got an interesting show today. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world of video games, but some disappointing news to get things started as Activision Blizzard is being investigated. Jade Raymond's new IP, though, is a games as service, and there's a lot more on the way for surprises in Assassin's Creed Valhalla in year 2. Before we get there, everybody should be over at twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube and joining us live. But if you can't join us live, then you need to hit us up later at InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, you ready to kick in today's show?
Yeah, let's get into it. It seems that Ubisoft can never escape the news, and some unfortunate kind of repeat from yesterday, actually.
Unfortunate is so, as Activision's Call of Duty and WoW are being investigated for sexist workplace practices. Scott, this is not hard, man. Like, honestly, come on, people. California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing has filed a wide-reaching lawsuit against Activision Blizzard of World of Warcraft and Call of Duty fame via Bloomberg Law, alleging sexist workplace practices, harassment, unequal pay and opportunities, and various other egregious abuses in a lengthy description of a frat boy culture across the company. The lengthy investigation describes harrowing problems within the company, going as far to suggest an employee's suicide as a result of sexual harassment, involving nude photographs that were distributed among the studio staff. Male employees were described as drinking alcohol at work, while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, while they engage in banter about sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. Are you kidding me, Scott?
Oh my god, what a mess. The painting they just described is something I didn't think was happening in the last 40 years.
It's
like I can't. It's hard to even wrap your head around that. How could a company be successful and create these products under those situations? But evidently that is being investigated. I can't believe that this is yet another company. This seems to be quite egregious, much further along than what we talked about yesterday. But yeah. I can't believe that it's so widespread in this industry that there's still these problems. Like I said, I thought we defeated these issues in the 70s.
Scott, like, I really just, where do you start with this? This is unacceptable. People are people, no matter color, sexuality. It really doesn't make a difference. An individual is an individual, and they should all be treated equally. It's pretty simple. Like,
and for that
what
matter,
else do you want me to tell you? Like,
you're in a workplace. For that matter, it doesn't matter if the person is green or purple. You're still in a workplace with them, and that demands another kind of tier of respect. Well, hopefully mutually.
Exactly, right? Like, why treat people this way to the point where, like, a suicide, Scott, is even brought into the conversation, that they were abused that bad? Obviously, there's an investigation for a reason. It's unfortunate that this is even a thing within our industry. It's a thing across the world. We just don't hear about it in other aspects of other industries because we obviously focus on the video game side. So when it comes to, like yesterday's Ubisoft, for a prime example, and then now today's Activision as well, I saw one person actually take to Twitter and she deleted the Hearthstone app on her phone. And I understand her stance, right? I absolutely understand it. But then you also got to look at the other side too, Scott, is that the females from that team help make that game, right? Like, there's two sides to standing in that kind of circumstances. But when it comes to just, why can't we just be nice to people, man? Like, I just don't get it.
Well, I've seen the argument brought up on Twitter as well, where it's, can you separate the art from the artist?
Sure.
And I believe there should be a separation there. You can, of course, enjoy the art. You don't have to enjoy the artist, but this is
Yeah.
crossing the line into criminality, somebody's life at stake. This has gone, it's too loud to go unnoticed.
Absolutely. So I want to see Activision be held accountable for this whole industry as their art form now. Like they're one of the top companies in our industry. Activision is absolutely huge, and they should take to being open and justify their actions here and have them held accountable and showcase that it's not acceptable. It's just that simple, man. It's not acceptable. Now, within this article as well, though, Scott, Activision has taken a stance and said that they are being falsely accused and distorted when it comes to the news that is being covered by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. That they said they've actually taken action as well. So now we're kind of getting in the mix of two different stories, right? Which one's the truth? Which one? I don't doubt that the fact that there was some sexual harassment being at the workplace and things like that, but at the same time, now we're getting into mixed stories, right? And there's always a convoluted line. How far do you go? There's always a line within the workplace, and a lot of people don't know when to stop, and they cross that line. It's just not acceptable because, like I said, Scott, we're all individual people that should be treated with respect.
Yeah, and I hope that there will be evidence shown that they've done something to try and mitigate these problems, but I have a feeling it didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
And somebody has to hold the responsibility for that. The captain of the ship has to deal with these problems before they get that bad.
Well, that's just it, right? Like I saw a few others take to Twitter as well this morning, saying that maybe Bobby Koch should be held accountable for this too, right? You said, like you just said, the captain of the ship always sinks with the ship. So Bobby's at the top, man, and there you go. Let's see if he steps up and says anything, or is he been told to kind of keep tight-lipped and go from there, right? Like you never quite know, because now you're getting into lawsuits and all this other stuff, and it just gets it's an unfortunate event. It just turns real messy, which is completely preventable in the first place.
Yeah, it sounds like they needed to curb this. It's called frat boy environment going on.
Yeah,
that is a huge red flag. That's where it should have been stopped, really.
Absolutely. Scott, let's move
I've never had a job where I've been allowed to drink on the job and make jokes all day and defer my work. That's not a workplace. So I think that's where the problem lies.
No, exactly. Right. So just cut those people loose. Problem solved, right? At the end of the day, if you know who the people are, and we talk about this with Ubisoft as well, being that people at the top, because they're at the top, that they're still there for some reason. You know what? If you don't treat people nice with respect and have a good workplace, you're not going to have employees. They're just going to want to leave. I don't care how big your company is. If you have a crappy place of work, and I've seen it in some of my past jobs too. As of recently, our good friend Steve will tell you all about it. Dude, it just crumbles a company, right? And we'll see, hopefully, that Activision steps up and fixes this issue sooner than later. Scott, let's move into something that's kind of exciting and speculative, of course, because that's what we do here all the time. Jade Raymond's PS5 exclusive is reportedly an online service game. According to LinkedIn, Haven has already hired a group of veterans from around the Montreal development scene, including former Assassin's Creed series producer Sebastian Poole and lead writer Corey May, Watch Dogs 1 and 2's art director Matthew Leduc, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider's gameplay director Daniel Drapeau. Dude, this is quite a team they're building.
That sounds like a stacked team.
Man, I can't wait. Let's see what they're working on. Although no details have been publicly shared about Haven's PS5 project, Raymond has dropped plenty of hints that she'd like to create a persistent online experience. That's the biggest takeaway from this, Scott, is that she's going for a games as service, buddy. That's what's happening. The pivot of many of the games industry's biggest franchises from premium launches to the games as a service model, like Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto Online, for example, or Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, was one important step toward two-way engagement. But the fully realized vision of this new generation of highly social, tech-savvy, creative multitaskers is a network model. To hold people's attention now, you need the power of the network. Game content needs to matter to people at their core. How do you make content really matter to your audience? You make it all about them. You allow them to become the creators themselves. This is Jade's words right here, Scott. You allow them to become the creators themselves. Are we getting... So now, like, okay, there's two models when it comes to the world of games and service. You have the division, right? We have this online games and service that keeps functioning, or like Rishi says right here, Rainbow Six. And then you have the creative side that we've seen in the past, like Little Big Planet, and now Dreams coming out of Media Molecule, that keeps that community going too, right? There's two different sides here. A creative side, which isn't really necessary for everybody, because a lot of people go to Dreams and go, man, this is a little too much, way over my head for wanting to create content. And a lot of us just don't have the time. Is the other side of it, right? That's the biggest, I think, lack of effort. People sometimes just want to jump into a game and go. So
there's a little bit of worry in that kind of scenario. There's a joke among Nintendo fans where Nintendo got so bored, so tired of making Mario that they just made Mario Maker, and now you make the Mario for the next 10 years. And that kind of, gives people a wrong impression about what's going on. But the same kind of people that are pushed away from Dreams and Little Big Planet kind of creation, those things aren't necessarily made for them. Right. So they're out there for somebody, and I'm sure there's a ton of really good content produced. So it all really just matters what the property is. We don't know anything about this project yet that Jade Raymond is adding to and talking about. So yeah, I'm going to need a little more context before I'm super confident in it.
Absolutely. She says game studios are no longer in cellular creative teams broadcasting to millions of faceless consumers. In this new world, the way to gain relevance is to flip the model upside down, to network it, so that the fans are now co-creators driving the content, building the narrative, and steering the pursuits of the creative team. So now we have the other side of this too, Scott, where I'm thinking maybe it's kind of like how they Ubisoft themselves yesterday or the day before announced X Defiant, and the fact that they want to launch it early so that all the feedback can come in and they can help, the community can help kind of steer the direction of X Defiant. Is that what Jade Raymond is thinking here at the same time? We'll start building this game, but yet we're going to bring in and start building a community that'll help kind of sculpt the final product. Maybe that's her situation here. But you know what? We've seen Jade go from one studio to another studio to another studio with unfortunate events, land at Google Stadia, which was going to be the head of their games and service entertainment over there, which would have produced some incredible stuff for Stadia, right? Now she gets Ed on her own, starts her own studio, and she's bringing in some major company with her, man. It kind of has me very hopeful to see what comes of this new title. But the biggest thing for me, Scott, is what is it?
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see, how Google's response is going to be to this. They've lost some assets in their Stadia in-house development, and I wonder if there's some espionage going on and how much they're longingly looking at this project. It could have been an entirely different project. I don't actually know, but a Stadia exclusive was something that I think everybody was looking for.
Absolutely. I think we're still looking for a Stadia exclusive. That's the problem, right? They would have had the team in-house first, have Jade working and building this game. It would have been a different outcome instead of waiting so long and then having the product launch and still have no game to go with it. So we'll see what happens. But we're just talking about Assassin's Creed, Scott, and the fact that Ubisoft's around. So let's get going in with those guys as well, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla's second year of content will surprise players, says Ubisoft. During the publisher's first quarter earnings call on Tuesday, Ubisoft's chief financial officer Frederick Duguay called to the upcoming content for the game surprising on two occasions. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was released in November in 2020. Its major expansion, Wrath of the Druids, launched in May, and its second expansion, The Siege of Paris, will release in the next few months. He says, we will continue to deliver powerful Assassin's Creed content over the coming months and years, starting with an ambitious post-launch plan for Valhalla, including the Siege of Paris expansion coming this summer, the release of the Discovery Tour Viking Age, and a very ambitious, surprising second year of content for the first time in the franchise's history, he quoted. So I'm curious to see what this is. Like he said, this is the first time they've continued on this kind of style with more and more content, Scott. And normally you get post-launch for a year, you get a couple pieces of DLC, and then they'll bounce and go on to the next project. Here, they're going to keep it alive. And for me, I think what's going to happen now, Scott, is this is going to keep going and until it rolls into Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Yeah, this seems to match what that was spoken about. They want to launch into this games as a service. I think this is perhaps a test. But to see them support a game that was wildly successful is always a good sign of things to come.
No,
I'm just curious as to what the Discovery Tour Viking, whatever that means, and the Siege of Paris. Like, I'm very curious to see what kind of things they have coming along, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla is kind of an outlier. Not exactly a stealth game, right? So
not at all.
I wonder if they're going to tailor something for those fans of the series, but time will tell.
Exactly, right? He says, we are pushing the live service model to a level that allows Valhalla to be the best performer ever for the franchise to date. And we will be coming with exciting and new news and surprises, including the second year of content. It just keeps going, right? So my biggest fear is that we're going to get exhausted again from Assassin's Creed. And we've seen Assassin's Creed change so dramatically now from where we were in the past to where it is today, where you're now with a Viking blowing your horn and calling in everybody to raid the camp. To me, it just isn't Assassin's Creed. But when we talked to our good friend Corey on the show, he absolutely loved it. So it's got an audience, Scott, for sure, right? So we'll see.
It's fitting into an action RPG setting, which is perhaps why they've kind of put out a bunch at the same time or in a close window, and there's more content because they're trying to support this jump in genre.
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's continue on with more Ubisoft news, as Ubisoft will put its games on Steam Deck if it's big enough. Well,
that's a little uninspiring there.
Right? In his Q1 earnings call again on Tuesday, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot responded to an investor question about his thoughts on the Steam Deck by suggesting it might spark future Ubisoft game releases on the platform. Technically, Scott, there are Ubisoft's games already on Steam, so they're already kind of there. You know what I mean? That's the other side. He said, we're happy to see Steam Deck coming to the industry. It shows that it continues a flow of very innovative new hardware coming to the market, he said. So we will look to see how big it becomes, but if it's big, we will be able to put our games on it. He's already there. So I'm not surprised. We'll also be able to put the Epic Game Store there, which I never really thought of, to be honest, because Steam Deck...
That's a strange one.
Well, Steam Deck is open,
Epic,
right?
Kind of
competitors.
Yeah, exactly. So I've seen people kind of joke around with some silly stuff. You can run emulators on it and things like that. But to see Epic Games, as the official entitled property, Epic Games on there, that's a stretch.
Well, exactly. But they said there's going to be just an open computer in your hand. So if you're able to put Epic Games there as well, then you have your PC on the go, which Dude, I'm so excited for this thing. I really am pretty pumped because that's what I said. I'm a couch gamer. I want to be on the couch relaxing. When I'm here in front of the computer all day editing and doing stuff for the show and we're doing this and that and whatever, the last thing I want to do is come back downstairs to play a game, right? I'm kind of exhausted. I want to be upstairs and chilling out. And I've been playing a lot of my Switch lately, Scott, to be honest, sitting on my couch, handheld mode. So to be able to do that with PC games, I'm all for it, man.
It's going to be very interesting. I think I may have mentioned this before, but it'll be the first opportunity ever to play Total War or Command and Conquer, for that matter, from the bathroom.
That's well, we all have goals, Scott.
we all measure comfort in different metrics.
What's not so comforting, though, Scott, is Amazon's New World is bricking RTX 3090 graphics cards. A good sign, buddy. The closed beta for Amazon's New World has gone live. And while gamers are enjoying the game, players who might have systems equipped with the RTX 9030 graphics cards are having their game rigs ruined by the upcoming MMORPG. Reports on the New World subreddit indicate that trying to launch New World while using an RTX 3090 will cause it to completely fry. Oh man, forcing those Impact to contact manufacturers for refunds or replacements. The issue seems to be affecting the EVGA RTX 3090 cards more than other GPUs. Though it's worth noting that people who use other versions of 3090 have reported problems with overheating and dangerous power spikes. So keep that in mind if you're checking out New World.
Those are not
cheap, man. Not cheap at all.
You would expect something with the price tag of it, that large, and it's onto the 30 series. You'd think that it would have had these things ironed out, but I hope the only thread of hope in this is that they've pushed the graphics card technology too far.
Sure.
And that's the issue. That would be the only slightly agreeable detail about this whole situation. But of course, nobody wants to turn the computer on and have it fried. I'm not even sure how that's possible.
No, that's not cool whatsoever, right? It's unfortunate to see that happen at all. Scott, we've got a couple things coming to the Xbox Game Pass, as in Battlefield 5 coming to cloud via EA Play, Chris Tales coming to cloud, console, and PC, Atomic Crops cloud, console, and PC. That's the ID at Xbox on July 22nd. Raja and Ancient Epic is coming to cloud, console, and PC on July 22nd. Last Stop is coming July 22nd to cloud, console, PC. Blinks the Time Sweeper is coming to cloud and console on July 26th. Crimson Skies, dude! Crimson Skies! Man, it's been so long. Wow.
I hope this stirs up a Crimson Skies sequel.
Oh, dude. I love that game back in the day. Crimson Skies High Road to Revenge coming to cloud and console on July 26th. If you have never played this game, you owe it to yourself. Go check it out. I absolutely loved it back in the day. It was fantastic. Microsoft Flight Simulator coming to the Xbox Series X and S on July 27th. Lethal League Blaze coming to cloud, console, and PC on the 29th. Omino is coming to cloud, console, PC on the 29th. Project Wingman is coming to PC on the 29th. And The Ascent, Scott, is coming to cloud, console, and PC on July 29th as well. And
there's a lot of flight in that list there. There's kind of an emphasis on dogfighting and flying games. I'm excited about that.
It's not a bad month to be part of the Game Pass service at all, is it?
No, that Game Pass, it's avoided the headlines for about a week now, and that's surprising in general.
It's back again because it just keeps growing, man. Like Crimson Skies, dude, I saw that and I almost lost it. I couldn't believe it. That is fantastic to see that thing come back again. Again, maybe a little spike in interest for a sequel. But Scott, why don't we get into releases and updates for today, buddy?
Well, we have an update on Schwip.
Yes.
And that is that it will leave early access August 3rd. So that one's moving along quite well.
There's fantastic. So I just want to give a shout out to Rob and the team over there at Gemhammer Games. Good on them. I remember going back to our very first EGLX and they were there and they showed us this game. We played it on the show and had a fantastic time. So everybody go check out Schwip. That is it's made by just a small team. So it's super cool to see that they're making headway with it. That's awesome. And it's coming to Xbox soon, they tell me.
Oh, no, it's good news for that. Especially small development teams. I'm always interested to see what they produce, and it's generally some good content. So I like that it's still accessible. You don't have to be a massive company to do these kinds of hits.
Absolutely.
But we do have 2 full release titles coming out today. Small amount, but it's been kind of a slow week. There is Last Stop, and that's coming to the PlayStation 4, 5, the Xbox One, the Series X and S, the Switch, and PC. Just about everywhere.
Nice.
And Urban Trial Tricky. That one's coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC today.
Nice. Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later at InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.